Here's my test theater mode. I'm just using a Korg Nano control with 8 faders on it. As you can see, I've mapped 10 items here, but let's only pay attention to the first 8, which I've mapped to fader 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are ran out of faders, so let's just ignore those. So fader 1 both launches the clip and has fade on start. And I've set the playback mode to be play once and clear. So the clip actually gets ejected when the clip is finished. So I'll do that again. I'll just you can see the fader will come down as I bring down fader 1. When I put it up again, clip 1 starts. I can do clip 2 starts, clip 3 starts. 1, 2, 3, in whatever order. And you can see that layer 3 is on top as per usual. They've just got alpha. It's going from 0 to 100%. So if I want to go clip 4, I use slider 4 or fader 4. And you can see that this fader is still up. But if I engage fader 1, then the fader jumps to the bottom and clips the start. So right now, both fader 1 and 4 are both up. So moving either one, move fader 1, it goes down, fader 4, it goes down. So because both of them are attached to this video opacity, they fight for the value. So there's no way within Resolume that I know of to have multiple shortcuts on, say, this volume, this video opacity fader, and for it to ease between the two. It will always, as far as I know, just jump to the current value from your controller. So I can do channel 7. So if I just go through the faders in order and don't return them back to 0, so I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right now all my faders are up, which means that bringing any of them down, there's tension between the current value and whatever the other fader is you move. So let's just go between, say, 1, 4, and 7. So I can go like 1, 7, 4, no problems. Or if I use the faders, so I go like fully up and fully down, so there's no tension between the things going back to 0, I can very happily switch between those 3 in any order I like. And there doesn't seem to be any problems with that. So the issue is going to be, like, if you wanted to have all these things, if you've got your external control is only doing fade ups and never fades down and just moves on to the next clip, and you did that 50 times, you perhaps don't have to worry about this issue of having, say, 2 faders up, where now you've got both faders control the same opacity. So if you only ever did a progression of like launching faders going from 0 to maximum at whatever speed, then this method should be okay. Having said that, I have had to set the MIDI control for the fader, and I've set even though it is a fader, instead of being absolute, I've set it to button. If I set it to absolute, then the clip launch seems to not happen until the fader reaches 50%. So to get it to fade as soon as to get it to launch as soon as you hit the fader above 0, I've set it to button. And in here we can see I've actually got, because I've got 3 clips to launch, and I want this fader start. Fader start is actually on the layer, as you might have noticed. So it's got fader start. So I have to use this opacity, video opacity, and because I've got 3 different clips that I want to launch, then I've actually use this like create controller shortcut 3 times separately and mapped each one. So you can see there's three separate of these shortcuts over here for composition, layer 1, video opacity. So I don't know, maybe there's a limit to how many of these you can set. Create controller shortcut. Maybe there isn't. In any case, what I do know is that when there's more than a couple of controller shortcuts here, it's very hard to tell them apart, and the order that these appear in is not any specific order that I can think of. So there could be some issues with that. So let's just get rid of some of these. Check I still got. So I can show you what happens if we set this to be loop mode. So it wasn't clear what sort of content you're going to use. If it's in loop mode, then you do have a bit more of a problem if you don't return your fader back to 0 before you launch another clip on the same layer. So let's just set these to loop. So layer 1, as you can see, it's going to loop, not a problem. If I hit fader 4 for this clip here, then we have a very sudden transition down to the opacity 0, but we get the clip come in as expected. So the issue here is now I've got both fader 1 and fader 4 are controlling that opacity. So if I want to try and launch this clip number 1 again, just using the fader, I need to return the fader all the way to 0 and then bring it back up again. So you can have issues where if you wanted to, let's say I've launched clip 1 and then I launch clip 4, and bringing fader 1 affects the clip playing for fader 4, which maybe we didn't want to have happen. So there's a question as to like what should the behavior be if you're moving two different external controls that are effectively for the same layer. And Resolume deals with that just by just going to, like, it just jumps to the last value received. So unfortunately, the last value received doesn't necessarily correspond to the clip that you're interested in. So because we're controlling the opacity on the entire layer and not the specific clip, then that's an issue. So I don't believe that you can do a fader start on an individual clip. Oh, maybe we can. Maybe that's the way to do it. So maybe if we set these to be not fader start, and instead if I select all my clips, and so these are fader start on. Let's just turn that off. So, alright, so you can see the fader start is working from the layer fader. Let's see if we can stop it for a minute. Right. Let's see if we can use the opacity here as a fader start. No. Right, let's put the layer. Oops. Layer is on. So the opacity works to control the clip opacity, but it's not controlling the transport to start. And this pause is also affecting this from restarting. So layer start, layer start, layer start, layer start. For fader start, should I say. So it seems that regardless of whether we do the fader start based on the layer itself or the clip override having a fader start on, it always relates to the layer video opacity, unfortunately. So let's set all of these. Let's set all of these to be loop, loop, and loop, 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 and loop. Just inject all the clips. So we've got one. Oh, we should put this opacity back up. So 1, 2, 3. All 3 layers or clips are looping. I'm going to bring up layer fader 4. So we'll see that the first layer is exchanged as expected. So we can go 4. So here's the trick. So just say done layer 4, turn fader 4 down. So fader 1 is also up. We take fader 4 down. If we want to launch clip 1, then we need to bring fader 1 down. But as we bring fader 1 down, the layer reappears with the contents of clip 4, which is probably not what we want, which is unfortunate. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 was already up. 7, 8. So once all the things are up, you then have a hard time to get it back down. So if we want to get clip 1 and clip 4 down, we need to bring both of the faders down kind of at the same time, because as you can see, they compete. If we bring one of them down at a time, then we try to bring the other one down, the opacity jumps back up to 4. But if you manage all of your layers so that you've only got 3 at a time, 1, 2, 3, you pull down layer 1, clip 1 before you raise layer 4. So if you bring it up and down one at a time, or layer 7, not a problem. You can change all of them, but yeah, I guess you have to be careful. That's all for now.